Hi everyone, welcome to my end of the year show. So all I'm going to do to begin with is just talk through my year in the hobby and the cool things that have happened and the things that I've achieved in the hobby and anything interesting else that I can think of as well. And then a little bit later on I've got a painting video, so I decided to do another painting challenge and we'll see how that went a little bit later. So I made some notes, so just to talk through the things that I've done over the year. So 2019 has been pretty busy. So to the start of the year, I had a couple of miniatures released, which I sculpted. So that was the Clamavus and the Biophagus for the Genestealer cults. So they got released early in the year. So it was pretty cool to see those out there, people painting those. And then I went on to paint some Centurions just after that from my Silver Skulls army. I watched a battle report and they were really good, so I thought I've got to add some in my army. So it's geeking out a little bit there. So soon after that, the Shadow Spear Chaos miniatures that I sculpted along with some of the other members of the design team, they were released. So I sculpted the Master of Possession and the Possessed and the 10 Chaos Space Marines that came in that set. And then my colleagues Joe and Steve sculpted some of the other Chaos Space Marines from that set as well. So that was really great to see those release, new Chaos Space Marines. I painted Reboot Gulliman for my Silver Skulls army as well. Gave him a bit of a conversion, so he's called Reboot Skulliman, obviously, you know. And then I painted a Silver Skulls Librarian for my army. So the reason for doing all of these characters for my Silver Skulls army was that we had a staff tournament at work, and I wanted to join in on that. I wanted to play some more games and play different people, because I normally just play a select few people, but I wanted to play different armies and different people, so I wanted to get some figures ready for that. And then I painted Minus Calgar for my army as well, because I thought he'd be quite good. He was in my list for my tournament list, so I had to paint him. Gave him a conversion as well. If you want to see any of those, they're on my Instagram, guys, so just go over there. And then I painted what's commonly known as a Smash Captain for my Space Marine army. So that's a Space Marine Captain with a Thunder Hammer and a Storm Shield, and you know, they're quite good, apparently, and he's been doing quite well in the game, so I converted one of those and painted him as well. And then the new contrast paints got released, I think just before the summer. So I decided to have a play with those, and I painted a stage by stage contrast paint non-metallic metal leg of a Stormcast as an experiment. And I put that up as a stage by stage online, and that went down really well. It seemed to go quite popular, and that's also on my Instagram if you want to see that. And that was quite a highlight for the year, playing with the contrast paints. Let me see. And then I sculpted Sister of Battle, Sister Amalia Novena. So she got released just after that. And it was really nice to see her out there. And she was one of the promotional figures, miniatures that a lot of people could get hold of on Warhammer Day. So that was really cool. And I think a lot of people got hold of her. And I've seen lots of really cool paint jobs as well. So it's nice to see your own work out there being painted. So I painted a Shroomancer for the Gobapalooza. Spent a long time painting that miniature, and it's one of my favourite paint jobs I've done. So I really just wanted to get a lot of colour on the model, because it just felt like I wasn't using a lot of colours recently, especially painting my Marines. They were, you know, metallic, black, and maybe a bit of red, but I wanted to throw a lot of colour onto a miniature, so I decided to paint that Awesome School by Seb. I love that miniature, so that was a really cool figure to paint. I went on Primaris Lieutenant Daily with Wade Price. That was really good fun. We had an argument about pronunciation of lieutenant or lieutenant. You guys can argue about that below if you want to, that's fine. I did more stage by stage contrast paint stuff on my Instagram. That was photography stage by stage, so you know, not videos. So at that point I was still playing around with them, so I did some more of those. That was quite fun. And then not long after that, I did my first video on Instagram. So that went on IGTV. So, and that seemed to go down really well. And that was just a 2-minute, 21-second video of how to paint black on an Eldar miniature. And that went down quite well. People seemed to like that. So I did how to paint gems on Instagram as well. And then on the 7th of August, due to popular demand from people on Instagram, they wanted them on YouTube, so I did my first video on YouTube, and that was the start of the channel. That's the channel you're watching right now. So that was one of the uploaded how to use glazes, and that was the first video on the channel. And then obviously many more after that. So, and it seems to be going really well. And then not long after I sculpted the Incubi and Drazar for the Dark Eldar range, and they got released, so that was really nice to see those out there as well. That was along with Jane's R and the Howling Branches. So, and then I painted loads of stage by stage marine legs for YouTube. You guys have probably seen all of those. Like I said, I don't paint full space marines. I just do the leg because it's got like good shapes on there. But I've painted lots of those now, so I've got quite a collection coming on. So a lot of people have asked for ultramarines and space wolves, so hopefully we'll do those soon as well. So we'll keep going. Lots more marine legs. So I took part in the Ever Chosen judging. So that was a big global painting competition, and I was lucky enough to be asked to help judge that. So we did that at the Warhammer Paint Open Day. That was great. We got the winners over and had a look at the the finalists, and it was a fantastic day. And I think the whole event went really well. So we just saw loads of cool miniatures. So what's wrong with that? Nothing. I played loads of 40k with my brother this year. That was really good. We had a few arguments. I won some games, I lost some games, and played in the staff tournament as well, which went down really well. I used my new Space Marines, and the new Codex is helping really well. So thanks for that. And then recently we just started the Lord of Blights Masterclass. So that's a new thing now. As of recording this, we're like part 3. So we're going to keep going with that. He's up there on the shelf now, ready for the next stage. So hopefully you guys are joining on. So that's quite cool. And also with the channel, so we're ending the year with just over 30,000 subscribers, starting from 0 in 5 months. So like I've always said on these videos, I'm just blown away, and I'm really grateful for everybody's support. And I'll just keep doing videos if you guys like them. So, and like I say, it's very, very much an educational channel. So if you're after entertainment and things like that, this is not the place for it. This is where I'm trying to teach people how to paint or how I paint things, so you guys can learn. If you want to, that's fine. So what I did was, because it's 2019, I thought, how long is 2019 seconds? And I actually worked it out, and it's 33.65 minutes. So I've done these painting challenges before. I succeeded in one and failed in another. And this one is like, can I paint a model in 2019 seconds? So that was the challenge. So again, I went for a Space Marine because, I like Space Marines, and it's a popular choice, and they're supposed to be quick to paint. So that was the challenge for this video. And what I did was I love Space Wolves, my favourite chapter. So I painted a Space Wolf. There's this guy here. So up next, you'll see the time-lapse video. So it's sped up of me painting this, attempting to paint this in 33.65 minutes. So you'll see what happens next. And if you want to win that guy, just hang around to the end of the video, and I'll tell you how. So thanks for all the support this year, guys, and I'll see you with loads more videos and loads more tutorials next year, and hopefully the channel keeps growing, and hope everybody has a fantastic new year, and I'll see you really soon. Bye. So here we go with the painting challenge. So like I mentioned, I thought it'd be cool to do a Space Wolf, and Space Wolves have always been my favourite chapter, so I thought challenge myself to paint one of those in 2019 seconds or 33.65 minutes. So you can see it on screen here. I'm just getting there. This is a contrast paint I'm using, so I should probably say I sprayed the model with grey primer first, and then did an overspray of Corex white over the top, just give it a bit of a pre-shade. And then this is the Space Wolf grey contrast paint, just going over all of the armour pieces. So just moving the paint quite quickly, trying not to let it pool too much in any area, just letting it run into the recesses. So like I mentioned before, I don't really use contrast paints this way, or the way that they were intended to be made. I tend to use them as glazes and just thin them down and use them as glazes to enhance or change colour on a model. So I thought it'd be fun to give them a go, as they're supposed to be used, as it were. So yeah, so this is the Space Wolf grey contrast paint going straight over, and it gives with the grey primer and then the white dusting over the top, gives it a nice finish straight away. Really, does the shading for you and the highlighting as well, all at the same time, which is what they're made for. And I think it's given it quite a nice finish. Really, I was quite happy with it as it was going on. Using a large brush, just drawing off any paint as I need to. So I used to have a Space Wolf army when I was a teenager, when the original metal Space Wolves were released. So, and my intention is always one day just to go back and either repaint that army or paint a fresh Space Wolf army as well. Obviously as best as I can. but we're always fighting against time as usual. But yeah, I do. Space Wolves are my favourite chapter, and I do like making Space Wolf miniatures as well. So yeah, so that's I think the base coat's done there. So I thought rather than hitting that with the hairdryer, I can move on to other parts of the model and let that dry a little bit more naturally, which is always the preferred method, I think, than hitting the model with the hairdryer. So the base is a sculpted base because this is one of the limited edition sort of exclusive to Japan Marines. So I put snakebite leather over all of the sort of dirt areas on the base first. It's quite strong in pigment, so I just thought just get that on there. And then I thought, whilst the marine's drying, I can get some. I think this is basilicanum grey I used over the the stone areas on the base, and I wasn't worried too much about it mixing with the brown because I thought it'll enhance any sort of natural finish to the base. Plus, I knew I was going to be covering this base with mostly snow at the end as well. So I thought I just really wanted just to get some colour on it, so it wasn't just flat white. So I was just really getting some natural shades on the base, which I wasn't too fussed with. And then they could dry whilst I was working on the rest of the model. Knowing that it's a Space Wolf, obviously snow follows them around everywhere. So I'm going to be putting lots of snow on the base at the end. Yeah, so this is doing the leather now. This is snakebite leather again, so I had it open, so I thought I'd get that onto the pouches or any leather areas of the model. And then I knew that I'd do like a light contrast paint first, a light brown contrast paint, so the snakebite leather, and then over the top of that I was going to do a darker brown contrast paint, which you'll see a bit later. So the last time I did one of these challenges, I did a Black Templar. I wanted to do that in 30 minutes to celebrate 30,000 subscribers, and it actually took me an hour and a half. So my confidence was quite low going into this after the last time. Even though the first one was an Iron Warrior Space Marine, sorry, and I did that in 30 minutes, so that worked quite well. But that was very basic. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes. So this is actually not Black Templar, this is thin black paint. So I wanted to get like a good solid sort of coverage on the gun, knowing that it was going to have a black casing, and then any metallic areas are always best off sort of undercoated black first. So I thought I'd just paint the whole gun black whilst everything else is drying. Yeah, so just getting that blacked in really, getting those done early. Yeah, so the last one failed pretty miserably. And I've got the transfers cut out just off to the side. They're sitting in water at the minute. So that's a Grey Hunter marking transfer, and then a Space Wolf Ragnar company transfer, just so they're ready to go on when I'm ready. So obviously the contrast paint there making a mess of my fingers, as you can see. Be careful not to get it around too much. And just using that thinned black paint just to paint out some of the areas which I know will be metal, because then I can just put the metal straight over that and then wash a bit later. And whilst the thin black paint's on my brush, just painting in the ribbed areas between the armour panels. So they were obviously they're grey already, so with the thin black wash they'll do the shading and highlighting for us at the same time. I don't know why I didn't use Black Templar, I just had the thin black paint, thought I'd just keep going with that. So just made a little mistake there, so just take that off. Like I say, I never really paint like this, so it's quite a stressful experience and quite different for me. Normally I spend days on miniatures and I don't ever paint at this sort of speed. Obviously this is sped up twice as fast as what it normally is, so I'm not quite this fast, but yeah, trying to paint a model in half an hour is a massive challenge for me. And I have a lot of respect for people that can paint armies and paint fast as well, so even more so after doing these challenges. But it's just a bit of fun and something different. So, and I thought, 2019 seconds would be quite fun. I was hoping it would be more, but I worked it out to be like nearly half an hour, just over half an hour again. So now I'm just hitting the model with a hairdryer now because I need some stuff to dry. So got a bit of a weird strobe effect on the video from the hairdryer. So I can't remember what I did next. Okay, yeah, so painted in the gold area, so that chest eagle and for the small details in gold, so Retributor armor. the best gold, I think, for me. It just goes over in one coat and it's fantastic. So I think early on I just want to get the main colours on there, you know, so I'm feeling confident I can keep going. I'm always looking at the time as well, so stressing out a little bit. I think I was confident with this one about halfway through. I was like, I can do this, I can do this. If the transfers go on fine and I can paint the edge of the base, then people will forgive me for putting some snow on later, maybe, even though technically it's not completely finished. So, but yeah, I just kept going basically. So yeah, the casing on the gun needed another thin coat of black just to make it a bit more solid. I think the perfectionist in me, like, I really struggle with these sort of challenges because the gun could have just been left and no one would have even, you know, said anything or noticed anything. But no, there's me just going back and it's sort of punishing myself, really. Painting out the magazine, that pesky magazine on the base there. Another detail that needed painting. Painting in the mouth, the helmet mouth grill area. Like I say, if you want a chance of winning this miniature, just stick around at the end and I'll show you how you can do that. If you want to. Obviously, if you like Dark Angels, you probably don't want to. So. Yeah, so the next big area that needed painted were the inner shoulder pads. So one side, because this guy's a grey hunter, he's got a bolt gun, he's a grey hunter. One side red and the left side in yellow, because he's going to be Ragnar's company. So I think at this point, yeah, I got the yellow and I shook it and it didn't shake properly. So it was a bit thinner than what I wanted. So I had to go over this yellow a few times and I was cursing the yellow. This is so the red was Mephiston Red and this is Avalanche Sunset, I should say. And well, the red was open and you need to paint the eyes in so the model looks finished. So yeah, I should say the video is dedicated to Duncan, who's one of my GW buddies who recently left, so best of luck to him. And just getting another coat on that red now, just to make it a little bit stronger. What do we go on to next? Here we go, another coat on the yellow. We love painting yellow, don't we? So this is a wash on the gold areas. So I was a bit cheeky here. I used my old brown ink. So it's the old Citadel brown ink, which I still use for still sometimes use on gold. It dries a little bit glossy, so it gives a really nice quick shade for gold, and I still like using it. If you want something similar, just mix some Fyreslayer Flesh with some Agrax Earthshade gloss, and it'll give you a similar sort of finish. Fyreslayer Flesh is a really nice contrast paint. It's very warm. So that's the gold shaded. And then this is, I think it's called Wildwood, which is a new contrast paint. It's a dark brown. So I just put this straight over the leather. The snakebite leather had dried. And I was actually really happy with the finish of this. So snakebite leather, then with that over the top, gave a really nice natural leather finish. So I'll probably use that again for something else in the future. So you can always take something away from these sort of challenges, I suppose. And this was Black Templar over the whole of the base. So I felt the base was still quite stark and too bright. I wanted to focus on the miniature, so I did Black Templar over the whole of the base. I couldn't let that dry. What I knew was I was going to be, like I say, doing snow over the top of the base. So I just wanted to get a bit of colour on it and a bit of contrast on there. The yellow again needed another coat. I was still happy with it. Avalanche Sunset there. Yeah, now we've got the lead belcher going on to all the metal areas, or the steel areas. So the magazine, grenades, the working areas of the gun as well. Just picking up the pipes there as well. Like I say, these metallic colours work better over black, so that's why I wash those areas with just a bit of thin black to start with. It's just going to help the metal sit on there really well. So like I say, I was quite happy with how the Space Wolf Grey contrast paint had dried over the whole model at this point. So I was just looking at it now. It's like you could get quite a few Space Marines painted. You know, you wouldn't be too disappointed with them, I think, with this sort of finish. So if you've got an army of them, you'd be quite happy. So it's nice to see the contrast paint doing its job there. It's sort of settled really well across the model. So just finishing off those metal areas now. So it's really beginning to look like a Space Wolf now, so that's a good sign. This wasn't a good sign because the transfer actually broke whilst I was trying to place it on. You can see the Space Wolf icon has got no ear because it actually snapped off. So, and then there was a hair stuck on the shoulder, and I tried to get it off, and then I just took the transfer off and thought, I'll do the transfers later. So hopefully you guys will forgive me that the model wouldn't have any transfers on it and not be completely finished, but yeah, they actually tried to get the other transfer on the red shoulder pad, and that also snapped. So I think the transfers were just very old and couldn't stand up to it. So yeah, this is the hairdryer going on the model now. So yeah, hopefully you guys forgive me that the transfers didn't go until afterwards, but I didn't have time to cut new transfers or anything. So the intention was there though, so hopefully that gives me points. So this is Norn Oil and Black Templar mix going over the metal areas. So if you want to make your Norn Oil wash a little bit stronger, just add a little bit of Black Templar to it, and that'll help it just sit on your metallic areas a little bit quicker and a little bit stronger in pigment than usual. And that just goes over all of the areas. This is something I use for all of my stuff, so not just fast painting. I'm really running out of time now, so I'm just picking out some of the other areas that I've missed. I'm washing the magazine on the base. And then I forgot about the purity seal as well, obviously. So that's skeleton horde going over there, and then just a little bit of Mephiston red on the wax. And there's always a bit of detail we forget. And then, yeah, just picking up the eyes again. Obviously, I think that the figure wouldn't look finished, even though it's probably not 100% finished without the base edge being painted. So I thought, do that in black, because I knew I was going to do snow over the top and it will give a nice contrast. So if you're not too sure about what colour to paint your base edges, always go with black. It just looks neat and gives them a nice finish to the model. And this is a bit of skeleton horde contrast paint around the bottom of the feet, just to give them a bit of weathering, set him in the scene a little bit. Always nice to see Space Wolves, and they're a little bit grimy. I think it contrasts really well with the sort of baby blue colour that they have on their armour. So any sort of grime and grit you can get on there works really well. There we go. Now I'm just picking out, I think I've just missed a few areas now. So as the feet are drying and the base edge is drying, I'm just going around trying to pick out the odd area which is a bit neat or I've missed. Mainly just the ribbing in between armour panels and things like that. The perfectionist in me, so not helping with the speed paint. And then I think with that's the end of my time, and that's the model done. Well, when I say the model done, I mean kind of. This is the model after a little bit more time I spent on it. So as you can see, I actually did put the transfers on successfully. I've got a video for that. And I also added the snow as the base as well, which really helps set the scene, I think, with the model. Obviously, Space Wolves, they like a bit of snow, so they always look great with that. But the armor, I just added a little bit of chip in here and there, like not a lot. So what you can see there on screen is pretty much what we did in the video, except the transfers. And I did neaten up here and there just because, you know, I couldn't leave it that way, and then added all the snow to the base. That's the old Citadel snow flock. I just kept piling it on until I was happy with it. So there's the Space Wolf. If you want to win the Space Wolf, all you've got to do is tell me your favourite hobby moment from 2019 in the comments below, and I'll randomly pick someone in a week's time, and you'll win the Space Wolf, and I'll let you know about it on the channel. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a fantastic new year. Bye.